Welcome back, cold hardy banana plant growers. It's time to cut back these banana trees after all this winter damage. But one cut doesn't fit all, and I'll show you the reason on each particular type of banana plant. I could leave them just like this, but my chances for winning yard of the month are greatly reduced. We're going to start with the ones that have fruited. Now, of course, we want to cut these down, and the reason is because these bananas are finished. The last thing the banana plant does is produce a rack of bananas. And since these racks of bananas did not survive the winter, what that means is we're going to have to go ahead and take the entire plant down. Now, we're going to start with this one, and I'm going to use a sawzall. But at some point, I'm going to use the machete. So what you can notice about this is you can see these different rings around this center core. Well, these rings are actually modified leaves that actually support the banana plant. But this core right here is like an umbilical cord that comes out of the plant and it produces the fruit. And that is why that this umbilical cord or core is actually the last thing that this banana plant will ever produce. This is a Rajapuri. Bananas didn't make it. It's not a very big plant, it didn't have very many bananas, but we're going to cut it to the ground and go from there. Ooh, that one stinks. All right, so the next type of banana plant we're going to talk about cutting back are the smaller ornamental banana plants. And we have two types here. We have the bordelons and we have the pink ladies. So these are the pink ladies right here. They're beautiful little plants. However, not all of them need to be cut down. If you take a look at this one right here, you can see that it's really kind of mushy, and this one is ready to come down. It was probably fruited last year. Let's see. Well, I can't really, yeah, here's the old, this is the old raceme is what it's called. You can see a couple of the old bananas there. So this one is basically fruited out. However, some of these, like this one right here, is pretty rigid. And the best way to trim these is with a pair of scissors. And you can see down here in the core, it's a little bit of yellow growth right there. In theory, this should pop on up like that and form a new leaf. One of the things to be on the lookout for, you can see a little bit of green growth. We just had a freeze 4 days ago. So you can cut off any kind of damaged material. But really, once you do that, this particular plant is ready to go once you trim up all the dead growth off of it. You can just leave it like that. So I'll trim up some of these other ones. So these are the bordelons. They're not extremely cold hardy, and they tend to fruit out as well, like this one. I'm going to use the machete on this one and kind of do a time lapse as we chop them down. Now, why do we do it like that? Well, I'll tell you, most of these plants had fruited out or they'd frozen out. Very few of them have any kind of green in the center core, and they do grow from the ground pretty quickly. In fact, you can see this one is brand new growth coming up straight from the ground, and in another 2 months this will be completely covered over. Once we get some rain, all these old banana leaves will fall down into the ground and become compost for these bordelons. Okay, now that the ornamentals are cut down, we get to the final type of banana that we need to take care of. And those are the mature plants or the younger plants that have a good chance of fruiting this summer. So let's take a look. This is the way you can tell. You know, if it's got a little bit of a green leaf sticking out, that means that it's a growing plant all the way through the core. And this one next to it, although it looks pretty wrecked up top, here's the clue. Look, here's an old leaf that somehow avoided most of the frost damage that we had just 4 days ago. So again, this is another one that needs just to be cut up high. You could whack them all down at 6 feet high and they'll be just fine. But if you like taller bananas, the way to go is to cut them as high as possible. It really won't affect fruit production, but it's just more of an aesthetic type of thing. Now after you're through cutting the tall bananas, you may have some shorter ones that actually have some growth right here. What I recommend is just using scissors. It's kind of hard to cut when it's mushy like this. There, so you have a nice nude plant with a new leaf coming out, and you can even trim that off because that part of the leaf is not going to survive. And that's probably what I'm going to have to do with most of these, because a lot of them I can already tell don't have very deep frost damage. Here's another one that just needs to be trimmed up a little bit. You see the green right there. Again, if you have brown on the end, you just may want to clip it. I usually clip at an angle so it helps it kind of come out as a point. Other than that, you know, you can cut these leaves off any way you want to. They're a little easier to cut when they're dried, obviously. So I may wait for these to dry out before I come out here and start going too crazy. If I have dried ones, I will go ahead and cut them as is. So generally what I will do is I will take all this banana cuttings right here and load them back onto the plant, because there's no better fertilizer than old bananas, really. Old banana leaves, old banana husks, they hold a lot of water. They're just excellent as far as mulch goes. Anyway, that's what I do with the refuse. I don't take it to the street. I don't want to give my water and organic fertilizer back to the landfill. I know the video is supposed to be over, but these are the border lawns we cut an hour ago. And you can see it's already got about a ½ inch of growth popping up, and that's how these bananas are in the spring when it's warm. They're like a coiled spring down underneath, and they're ready to push those new leaves out as soon as they get the first chance. What up, Anno?